Did you play Doom Eternal during arguably the best and/or worst time of your life? Grab a hold of the Crucible and think, yeah, more of this please. Well, do I have news for you, because id Software heard our prayers and decided to bless us with Doom the Dark Ages, a game where getting up close and personal like a real man was a way to go, and not like some high-octane G-Fuel ridden monkey in a playground. With the boomer shooter Mouse PI for Hire releasing with all of its sexy new weapons to shoot, I decided to go back to Doom the Dark Ages again to do the complete opposite and fulfill my fantasy of being a melee only build in a gun dominated world to answer one question: can you beat Doom the Dark Ages with no guns? The rules in this playthrough are simple. Firstly, as the last 30 seconds of yapping suggests, I cannot use any gun to inflict damage to my enemies outside of scripted sequences. If I even shoot a gun on accident, I will have to reset to the previous checkpoint, because when you're the Doom Slayer, the floor beneath your feet, the air around your beautiful jet black hair, or even the fleshy walls that remind you of her is an enemy. Second, I will be playing on Nightmare difficulty with modifications of the smallest parry window and the brink of death set to hard setting, because what would be the challenge of a run without some cum-induced tears? Lastly, I can use any tool at my disposal as long as it does not shoot a bullet, including melee weapons, shield, and the clap of the Doomslayer's ass cheeks when he hits the ground a little too hard. Will I be able to put these demons into submission with my fist and shield in this Captain America LARPing adventure? Or will I succumb to the agony that is the BFG section meant to be played with the BFG by using the BFG, except I'm not allowed to use the BFG? Let's begin. We start this journey like any other, by skipping the intro cutscene, because even today, we weren't here for the story. We were here to give and receive only pain. Village of Kalim is the tutorial mission, and with tutorial missions come tutorial things. First, we are introduced to the basic game mechanics like blocking, shield bashing, and parkour. All is good until the real first enemy arrives. And what do you know? The very first imp stalker introduced has to be, you guessed it, shot with a goddamn gun, in order to proceed with the rest of the game. And with that, you have it. No, gentle boys and girls, you cannot beat Doom the Dark Ages with...
There will be no evacuation. There will be no cowardice. There will be no defeat.
Okay, so thanks to Commander Yarrick, this run has been saved, and so the journey continues. After that, the village of Kalim really wasn't too difficult. The hardest part was resisting the urge to pull the trigger while my shield was down and ignoring that sexy call that is shotgun combustion. And quickly, we put on one of the most important tools of this run, and that is the knuckles. We could now begin to fulfill the fantasy that is beating things to death with just our fists until they die. After a few resets due to me learning what trigger discipline really means, we make it past the last encounter of this level and we partake in Demon Normandy, except this time we are the ones who have to defend the beach, not storm it. And then here comes the second dildo knocking at my chastity belt. id Software, known challenge runner D1 haters, used their third eye and knew I was coming to lose my challenge run virginity with this game, and attempted to cheat me out of my glory by forcing me to use a turret in this sequence. Already 2 technical fails within the first hour, but wait a minute, what is that? Do you see that? That's right, boys. Hugo, you activated my trap card. Whilst the Doomslayer controls this turret, he's actually pulling the trigger so fast, he's launching the projectiles at such rapid speeds, causing the bullets to look like they're being shot, but in reality, he's just throwing them really fast, extending the melee rule. With that, I say bye to my dad and instant transmission away. Hebeth is next on the list, and nothing really to report here, except I realized I was definitely a cocky silly goose for thinking this run was going to be easy, and even thinking I should maybe modify the difficulty to be a little more difficult, since my cock and ball torture was only lukewarm at first. But boy, did I take that idea back, because the thick boys came to play and they did not care I was new to this level of sodomy. More resets than the previous mission ensued due to my twitchy fingers and being bad at the game, and after getting a hold of this game's version of the chainsaw and adding it to my Captain America shield throw, comboed in with a shield bash, punchies, and ass quakes, I was starting to get the flow of this run and began to stream The Dark Knight Rises in my trousers. It was also nice to see Yamcha make a surprise cameo since I was going to need all the moral support I could get. Made new friends with the Mancubus, Hell Knights, Armored Pinky, got spanked a few more times for not learning how to parry even though I've literally beaten every Dark Souls game I've touched. I gained a health upgrade, but I swear guys, if I wasn't forced, I would choose not to get them just to make this more challenging, okay? I swear. Then I moved on to the next mission where the Doomslayer gets to pilot his own Gundam in matching uniform because I'm a shill and I paid extra money to get this portrait of the Doomslayer with no helmet or condom on because he's just like me for real. Barrier Core begins and it has been a very long time apparently since I last did this section because I forgot you can sprint and the punching too feels a lot faster than what I remembered, but after a quick Google search I see that its software actually made it to part 3 of JoJo's and were big fans of how Star Platinum was moving, so they decided to put it in the game. All was well until it said that I wasn't allowed to play my way, but I had to play theirs. I did some research, I pressed every button, but it seemed like yet another scripted sequence I could not avoid. I tried running back and forth, I tried running past the demons, I tried pressing every button to find the secret melee button, but alas, it was not there. I had to pick up this chain gun, and not only did I have to pick it up, I had to clear the Titans before advancing. Honestly, fuck King Novik for pulling up to kill one guy and then leaving. It's not his fault, but someone needs to be blamed. But wait a minute, what's this? Looks like Sentinel technology is so advanced that this BF minigun isn't actually shooting bullets. It's actually punching pointy things at maximum speed, which makes it seem like it's shooting. Wow, I guess this run is saved because I can continue. Wow, I take it all back, King Novik. You're the best. Barrier Core wraps up and now sets in the reality of what this run really is. So far, everything has been pretty peachy. Minus the parts I had to break the fucking run's main challenge. And I was feeling pretty good about myself. I hadn't played this game on Nightmare yet, but for a first time Nightmare run and with no guns and with the lowest parry window and with Brink of Death set to hard, I was doing pretty good. I was living up to the hype that is being the quintessential gamer. I even thought, man, maybe I should actually go back and change the setting to make this a little bit harder. And I really thought I was so good that Nightmare with modified settings was too easy. Again. Then these demons decided to huddle around me while we took a very candid family group photo and show me why this game was called The Dark Ages. Just when I was ready to give up, I switched the batteries on my controller, lean forward baby, because just like the Doomslayer, my biceps are above average size and no demon was gonna take me to Pound Town and get away with it. Woo! I learn, I adapt, and I always overcome. I began creating a pattern of attack, and I learned that sometimes Hell Knights are considered fodder demons and won't progress to encounter. Learning to maneuver around them while I did the drive-bys on the pinkies with some slams and some punches here and there was all it took for me to show these demons who their daddy was. I defeated the Vagary champion first try thanks to all the testosterone in my balls from going into overdrive, executed this balding STD in style, and proceeded to pick up my baby boy, Sarah. Now originally, I planned on making an extended joke about Sarah also not shooting guns but actually projectile launching his teeth from his shoulders through rapid fire melee strikes, and Sarah doesn't actually completely fuck this run. But after the pain I went through in the last level, I'll spare your eardrums from the trouble. Instead, here's a clip of Doom Guy playing with a toy version of Sarah to let you know that even the manliest of men don't play with toys. So, Sarah sections aside, this level was consistent to the last in reminding me I am not as godly as I thought. I did learn a new strat though. Leaving the chainsaw shield on demons not only stuns them, but it actually does do a viable amount of damage, even on Nightmare difficulty. And to deal with pinkies, doing the final punch in a 3-punch combo is more valuable than I thought. With the Heart of Argent saved and the Holy City destroyed, now came time for Azrac Siege. In Siege Part 1, I'm here to tell you that Doom decided to dabble its hand in open world format, and I won't lie, it kinda works. In this level, I also unlocked the flail, which, even though you do less damage than the power gauntlet, the flail is still my favorite melee weapon in a scenario where I play this game and can actually use guns. But for now, it'll only serve its purpose for helping me against metal shield pussies and armored enemies. Portal by portal, I diminished the demonic forces as I frolicked through the battlefield, with the wind hitting my godly biceps. Eventually, I defeated all the bosses in the zone, including Finger from Cyberpunk, and I would get this cute thing called foreshadowing by dying to his poison more times than I can bear to admit, but if only I knew what torture awaited me. Siege Part 2 begins, and I hate to say that technically, I failed this challenge yet again, because it hates me and it wants me to avoid achieving high levels of YouTube clout. But because this testicle hydraulic press is just getting warmed up, we push on up. After a couple more deaths here, we make it to the cutscene where we hear the Doomslayer break the fourth wall as he tries to tell me to run, but because I put all my stats in charisma and only one in intelligence, I just ignored his warning and moved forward. With Daddy Novik saved, we come to Aura Farm a little bit in front of the Huz and embark on our next mission, which is reaching the Ancestral Forge. Because actually landing at the forge is super cringe, we simply get dropped off miles away because fuck me, man, that's why. God, even Thera says I'll meet him there. Because why? Who knows? But demons have been lying pizza chips and the king needed to show them that I have what they needed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to legally inform you that id Software made a huge mistake because this level was inaccurately called the Abyssal Forest, but I stand before you as a slightly autistic and humbled Doomslayer to say that I am officially correcting the name of this level by calling it the Abysmal Forest. Because goddamn, my time spent in this fucking forest was abysmal dog shit. The amount of sodomy I endured for this imaginary clout really had me questioning if it was all worth it. One cyber tall boy, 3 fat mans, and HIV orbs to cut the floor was all it took to nearly fuck this run and make me call it a day. The encounter starts pretty simple, with a Hell Knight and an Arachnotron and a few fodder demons, but in the middle stands a cyber demon ready to have his JoJo stand battle with you. No big deal, I'll have him packing by the end of the day, except this isn't a street fight, it's a goddamn gangbang surprise attack. When this cyber demon reaches half health, we'll spawn 2 mancubuses to throw their acid balls at you and coat the floor. So in a typical cyber demon battle, you're supposed to stand your ground and fight him until he taps out. Kind of the whole tagline of this game, but damn, this was nearly impossible. If you stand and fight, you will die to the Discord mod juice while it obliterates your nostrils. But if you run away, the cyber bitch will start shooting you with his hit scan gun. Reposition to avoid the poison, but get too close, the mancubuses will light your ass on fire. Gentlemen, we were facing a clear board checkmate, a DEFCON 1. No matter what I did, I would get fucked. And without any guns to come to my rescue, all I had to rely on was
brains and your fists.
Things were looking grim. So grim, in fact, that I genuinely contemplated if this was worth a few internet brownie points. But then I remembered I've beaten Halo 3 on Legendary. And with that came my true resolve. I leaned forward again, tightened my butt cheeks, and began to analyze every attempt. How to optimize, how to adapt. Sometimes RNGesus would throw some curveballs at me, but nothing I couldn't handle. My biggest issue was that the man combusted would consistently spit acid and that the cyber demon needed to be addressed first above all else because of his hit scan range. But when I started the encounter with a loop around, I learned that if all 3 demons are within a certain range of each other, I can continuously parry the cyber demon and stun not just him, but the 2 fat boys backing him too. And this was it, gentlemen. After a few more fails because I deserve it for even considering quitting this run, I did it. I defeated this cancerous encounter and was able to proceed with the rest of the fucking game. I am legally obligated to tell you I shot in a scripted sequence again, and then after spanking the Agadon Hunter as punishment for him thinking he could do this challenge run too, I was finally able to make it to the Ancestral Forge. We make our way into the forge, and we need to restart the mechanism inside the ancient beast in order to rip off another long-running and popular franchise, Legend of Link, because I don't know who Zelda even is. We clapped some booty cheeks here, occasionally ran into some areas that needed 1 to 2 to 15 resets, but it was nothing my shield and biceps couldn't overcome. Once the heart was pumping and Doomguy was ready to receive his sexy man, big me, big dreams reward, he was stopped again momentarily by another Agadon Hunter, and his 2 legendary elites with Cloak from Halo. It was in this fight I got reminded how much I hated hit scan enemies in my Doom game, but also the value of clapping my ass cheeks when I hit the ground. Although not essential to this run, an odd way to stun enemies, and it is still very helpful. We made our way in with Muscle Mommy Thera, and as it turns out, she's not just a side character, but a genetic phenom that not only has great natty genetics, but also the power to copy Nintendo without getting sued by them. Truly a man's wet dream. And with this, now comes possibly one of the greatest, if not the greatest addition to this run. Now, it might not seem like it right now, but the runes on the shield will come in very handy later. But for now, I have another tool in my arsenal, and thank Daisy, because I needed something else to add to my wombo combo synergy full of key attack. With upgrade in hand, it was now time to pursue Azrak in his own domain and end this run, because apparently this was the last thing the Doom guy needed to fight the Prince of Hell in Hell. A cutscene here to reveal that maybe that bad bitch who was ugly and shady from the start turns out is ugly and shady for a reason. And a quick run by demonic Jesus, and our incursion into Hell begins. Now, I'm going to give you a 2 for 3 bundle and give you the spark notes of these next 3 missions, since it was a whole lot of the same. And variety is the spice of life. Some demonic booty licking here, some electric punching there with our new upgrade. We push towards Azrak, but we need to take control of an Atlant to travel since Doom Guy's car is in the shop. And of course, he couldn't just be teleported right outside the fortress door because that would be too easy. We acquire our battery so juicy, Tony Stark is rolling in his grave. We give the Mike Tyson treatment to some more demons on the way, and then the challenge run is filled again on the Atlant because the gun we get here has, of course, no melee options, which I don't even know how they're teleporting this gun into Hell, but so be it. We jump across the lava river and acquire a shield rune named Holy Swarm. Cool little parry spell that shoots a bunch of swords, but since we have Ground Fissure fully upgraded, for now we'll ignore it, but heavy emphasis on for now. We pull up to Azrak's crib just to find them awkwardly standing on a hologram platform, waiting until the Doom Guy Slayer finally arrived just to say, "I love you, bitch," and then he walks away. It makes you wonder, how long was Blood standing there? Did he get nervous while he waited? I know I would if I knew a handsome fella was coming my way. Soon after, we head back to base, Sentinel Command Helicarrier, and it looks like the witch and her forces were spawn camping because we get attacked by only what seems to be any Japanese girl's biggest wet dream. We take our orders from Ron Perlman, but since Chief forgot we aren't using guns, he actually doesn't need to follow Johnson this time. We fight off the demonic forces, one punch, one flail, and shield bash at a time, but the Doomslayer barely achieves a bicep pump here. We climb aboard our lovely Sarah once again, and in case I have to say it, yes, the challenge run is technically a fail. And I really should just change the name of this video to Can You Beat Doom the Dark Ages? The Slayer section only though, with no guns. But that wouldn't catch your attention now, would it? We shoot some big ass tentacles, and nothing great to note here except the Cacodemon is introduced, and well, you know, it's the Cacodemon. This guy freaking stinks, and he's nothing to a guy like me. We shoot the squid pubes attacking the base, but they pull a famous YouTube get pranked move, and they pull Thera and the Bishop Creed in before they go. And unfortunately, Sarah is weighed down by his massive balls, compounded by the balls and biceps of the Doomslayer, so we missed the portal by a little bit. Now, gentlemen, I know you must be thinking, "Oh, Kevin, is this really a challenge run? You haven't broken a controller yet." Or, "This run seems really easy so far. I mean, with all the roll breaks, I bet I could do this too." Listen, apart from the biblical levels of resets I had mounted, but I'm just not showing, what is about to transpire has such high levels of molding, I would be remiss not to warn you that possible loss of facial hair and muscle mass may ensue. Potential voice cracks might reemerge in your personal life. Yes, the same voice cracks you made when trying to talk to your crush in high school and she replied with "ew." We begin our descent into the spire of Nerenthu, and we are introduced to a new pain in our testicles known as the Komodo dragon. A thick boy so cunning that he can run and gun almost as good as us, except he is better than us because he can gun, and I fucking couldn't. But with the limited arsenal we have acquired so far, and 81,000 gamer score, we defeat this come on Mr. Moto chump, and we continue deeper.
I had ran out of pee-pee.
What the fuck? You see, the hentai abomination that took Thera and the Creed are in a realm beyond our own. So, with the knowledge bomb from the makers, King Novik learns that we can retrieve the bishop and Thera if we let something out of here first, as it will take us to them. We break some cool looking runes in the chadliest way possible, and an occasional ride with Sarah to reach further and further below. Once at the lowest point, we see that the fruits of our labor is to release an ancient being so old his social security number actually starts with -2. With this mysterious figure now awakened, we need to release the beast with some heavy ordnance. We have some consecutive 1v2s with different tastes of loser Wojak demons, and we finally acquire the BFG, or as it is called in this game, the BFC, to fit with the theme. We are hard locked into an interactive cutscene that forces the Doom guy to shoot the BFC to awaken the old one, but since no one dies, I won't count this as a loss. And now, this is where the fun begins. If this was a normal playthrough, a GigaChat like yourself would just simply pick up the big fucking crossbow and just pull the trigger, annihilating all enemies that arrive before you. So, id Software makes the assumption that they should put a metric fuck ton of mobs, as you would on creative mode, all willy-nilly, since you would be blasting them and seeing the enemies go just as they arrive, quick as hell. I, however, was not on this luxury train. No, I was in the run where pulling the trigger on any gun in the Doomslayer's meaty claws was not an option. So, as tempted as I was, and oh was I tempted, I decided to put this beautiful babe down and prove to everyone that no, I don't sleep with a nightlight anymore, and I am just built.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm, even my fingers.
I sat here for 2 hours, man. 2 fucking hours. Wasting my precious youth trying to defeat these demons. Remember what I said about the cacodemons? May they forgive me because these bastards could not stop bucking me sideways. Bullet hell from the moment they're up. Focus on the Mancubus, get fucked by the Cacodemons. Focus on the Cacodemons, get fucked by the Mancubus. Mess up a parry and lose your shield, kiss your sanity goodbye, bitch boy, because here come 100 more shots to block and dodge, and 5 undodgeable key blasts that you know you can't parry. Holy shit, this section sucked. With every death, the Y button seemed more and more tempting. I even thought to myself, I mean, this section is basically scripted to be completed with the BFC, right? What would be the harm? But mama ain't raised no skinny bitch. She raised a man who bore at least 16-inch biceps with a pump. So, instead of giving up, I decided to find my resolve and persevere. If you're a mad lad who's also thinking about doing a run like this is what I can tell you. Pretty quickly, I deduced my strat upon spawn. Stand on the side and Captain America shield throw the fodder demons in the front row to get them out of the way. After that, get ready to spam parry because way more than 1 green blast is coming your way. Don't even bother melee finishing any of the demons either that you leave in a weakened state, because if you go into that gangbang, odds are you aren't coming back out. Finally, remember what I said about Holy Swarm? Make sure you have that upgraded and equipped, because goddamn, this shield rune was my saving grace for this run. With your first parry, the rune activates and you get the chance to do some major damage. Be intentional though, because at first I was just kind of aiming at whoever, but I realized there needed to be some priority in targeting. Even though the Cacodemon are the deadliest parts of this group, they're also the most exploitable. Keep them alive so you can keep spamming Holy Swarm on parry, but don't let them get too close. When there's 1 to 2 enemies now left, it's safe to shield, chainsaw them, and finish off the Cacodemons with some good combo punches. And with that, I have now defeated just when I thought it was over, turns out Millennia had a second phase. And just like that, I was obliterated. So, turns out, I forgot you should be shooting the BFC at least twice on a normal playthrough because there's a second wave of enemies. And it makes sense too. id Software would want you to get a tasting of the BFC. After all, 1 shot would just not be enough. So after dying for another hour, I finally make it back to the second phase a couple times, and I start deducing what my strat should be. Is it to be aggressive and just be a parry god like the fabled Let Me Solo Her? Or should I be a pussy and hang back and just pick my battles? I'm here to tell you that I tried both strategies and both were to no avail. I was beginning to fall apart. I was getting tired, sloppy. I even got faked out by getting teleported to the other side of the demonic wall thinking I could be spared from my torture. But alas, I wasn't. An invisible wall laid before me to let me know I was a bitch boy for thinking I could escape with anything less than total demonic extermination. So after resetting onto the original side of the wall, I died again and again and again until finally I did something I didn't even see coming. I went off script. I started the second encounter with some parries to whittle down the horde, but once I felt I was being overrun, I jumped for it onto a pillar on the side nearby and just waited to see who I could pick off one at a time or even a couple at a time, and it worked. I stalked my prey from above and below. I had my 1v1s when I knew I could run the fade, but eventually I did it. My nerves were shot, my hands were cramping, my head was pounding, and my erection at full mast. But I did it. I wiped out the remaining forces on that godforsaken bridge, and I almost shot my gun on accident out of pure euphoria. I was so proud that I stuck to my guns and used no guns for this section and proceeded to finish this sodomy session. And spoiler alert, but genuinely, Spire of Neranthu might be the worst fucking level of this run, because I didn't even go into depth of how long the previous arena took before I got the BFC. But anyways, with that, we freed Cthulhu and journeyed on into a different dimension. By now, this script has reached many pages and many words, so if you've stuck with me thus far, thank you for trucking along through this lovely journey, and get strapped in because we're at the home stretch now. So, I'll touch on what's important and we can finally go home and enjoy our beloved Halo Infinite Mahou. We hitch a ride with Squidward onto his original crib and things get very trippy. And green, mostly green. In this new holiday hotspot, we are introduced to the Cosmic Baron, aka Ussy Face. So, after taking that Ussy to Pound Town, we explore the city to do some fetch quests for some relics to continue chasing after Thera. And as we venture, I would have come across the most valuable and final tool to complete my arsenal. The motherfucking Dread Mace, baby! Woo! Oh man, this archaic piece of beauty will help me reach my final form. This Bible here only has one single charge and would be extra useful if I cared about refilling ammo, but we don't. So we care about this baby because it swings harder than my dad after the Falcons lose for the 10th time in this season. With the ability to one-shot most enemies and or put them in death by queef range, this run was about to fear me. Clap it on, we charge through the city of Ryu and the Carthul marshes, and not much to report here except a few deaths and a lot of LubeTube Amazon Prime drone delivery orders, because this Dread Mace and I were dishing out the revenge for what I went through in the BFG section minus the BFG. We put Squidward's favorite flashlight together to go through another portal and arrive at the Temple of Lorathim, which in my opinion is the best looking level. Definitely had your boy stopping every so often to take a look at the scenery. Maybe it's the rain, maybe it's the purple, but god damn, this level is great. We encounter a cyber demon, and because we have scraped enough gold and rubies, we now come before the cyber demon as a fully kitted slayer. Melee parries now giving us a short window to have a second swing with the Dread Mace. The stand and fight gameplay loop has now been fully realized extremely in our favor, and we obliterate the cyber demon, as 11% of the people living in the US would say, en corto compa. Venturing further, just when we think we're close to reaching Thera, its software decides we should make this game a little longer and also fulfill some devs' vor fetish, as we are consumed by another Cthulhu, motherfucking Gears of War 2 style. Is he different or is he the same one? I don't know, but they all look the same. Hey guys, Future Kevin here. I just want to remind you that generalizing people's looks is not okay, unless you're a stupid tentacled face bitch. We get swallowed whole, but Squidward forgot to chew, so we make quick work of this fella's guts along with his demonic white blood cells to then burst through, and finally, now we can end the game and save our muscle mommy Thera and... In a surprise absolutely no one saw coming, this game is not over, as Azrak loses his natty card and the bishop is a fat traitor puss boy, and the witch sets us up in a weird BDSM type beat with a few more Squidwards who just want to watch the Doom guy goon for all eternity. As it turns out, eternity was probably no more than 2 hours, because as soon as the Doom guy wakes up, he gets cooking and has an ingenious plan to get out. After realizing he's been carrying a MacGuffin on his chest the whole time, Doom guy grabs the tether and frees himself from the 3 old gooners and proceeds to join Kratos in the Too Angry to Die club as the zombie Doomslayer. We make our way through the ferry as Zombie Doom Guy and enjoy the beautiful blue scenery with no great hiccups, as this was the first level where I nearly completed it, no deaths. I only suffered 1, man, and I'm telling you, I was getting good at this shit. We pay our ticket to get in as the Doom Guy makes me lose this challenge run again in a cutscene, and we start driving his bus on over back to the mortal plane where the boys are cooking up a neat surprise party. We complete our rest erection, put our badass helmet back on, and begin to push back Azrak's forces from whence they came. Now, this level served really well in reminding me that maybe I wasn't the god I thought I was. I started to sweat a little extra with every fight, enough sweat to make my testicles go through the hole of my stool and need a brick to get these bad boys out. But with careful planning and resource management, perseverance was within my grasp. Taking advantage of the red hot chili shield peppers to give me easy health and armor when needed, along with making the most out of every dread mace swing, and even strategically achieving the double swing to kill as many demons as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible. After a Komodo demon pricked me along with his fat boy squad a couple of times, we finally end the siege by Azrak and his road boys on the ground level, and we catch a ride to let the Bishop Creed know that betraying the Doomslayer was the first and worst thing he could have ever done in his existence. Second being hearing unlimited breadsticks at Olive Garden and taking that as a challenge to see how unlimited bread really is. Okay, so I won't lie, I kinda don't build this run again, but basically it's because apparently in order to get into this boss room, it was absolutely necessary for game design to have a plasma shield that needed to be shot in order to proceed. So to avoid being totally sullied by this deed, I decided to use the chain shot, since technically the chain ball is never a bullet that leaves the gun, but more so an extension of my melee ability, since it never ceases to disconnect from my grasp. Regardless, I only use it for this door, so did I really need to explain that? Absolutely. Now shut up, because this is almost over for real this time. We enter the arena against the Bishop and proceed to begin the spanking sesh, no foreplay required. We get through his first phase rather easily, but then he decides to blow up his own plasma shield, and I thought, was the previous plasma wall foreshadowing to the great ordeal I was going to endure for the next 5 to 10 hours? Nah. He turns it off eventually, even when it seems like he might not, but thank God he does, because I refuse to break the rules for this run again if I have the choice. We kill the Bishop and go back to base to hop on our Megazord for the final mission, literally called the final battle. We arrive at the garage, but find that our whip is yet to be fully repaired, so the Giga Chad smaller cock that he is, Novik lets the Slayer take command of the kingly pimped out Atlan, and we go fuck up some Titans. We start the mission, and immediately the game lets us know that Novik was holding out on us prior, because this Atlan comes with shoulder mounted plasma guns. But hey, like I said, if it's optional to use a gun, then I will always refuse to use a gun, since mama ain't raised no bitch. We fight these Titans with nothing but hands and kicks, and I mean, come on, the Atlan sections are easy even on nightmare mode, so how hard could...
Why are we still here?
I could not have been more wrong. Maybe you really are meant to use the shoulder plasmas, but that wasn't an option for me. The Titans were all shoving their meats down into my petite supple body, pretending like they were doing me a favor. Should I just forgo my own rules, since the Atlan runs are never no guns clean anyway? Hell nah, dude. On this channel, we believe that pain is just weakness leaving the body. After all that weakness was beat out of me, I locked the fuck in and showed these Titans that my meat was indeed bigger. I destroyed the heli towers and began to look for Azrak, but instead found Techno Squidward Prime, and we throw down in an epic battle where only one Megazord could come out on top. He wasn't an easy fight, as he had a good variety of moves and plenty of health. He even had some attacks that I felt were meant to be interrupted with the plasma cannons, otherwise they would just be undodgeable, unless he ran really far. But after a couple of retries and learning to dodge his attacks, we were victorious. We chopped his head clean off and hopped off our new Titan for a street fight. Finally, it was time to defeat Azrak once and for all. It was time to show him that I was way better shirtless, better than he could ever dream to be. He has his stand back Discord kitten moment, and we have our duel with no guns because pulling the trigger to an oh so sexy super shotgun would be gay. And I hate to admit this again, but this fight and his 3 phases were genuinely hard without guns. It truly did feel like a gladiator match with Azrak, as it was his spear versus my shield and mace, going back and forth with some occasional magic here and there. I did die many times, especially in the 3rd phase since my nerves began to get the better of me, but in the end I wanted to avenge Sarah and save my muscle mommy Thera more than anything. The key to this fight was 1. Not sucking straight up ass, and 2. Being patient. If I wanted to get the most amount of damage on the little bugger, I had to parry him as much as possible, especially once I had a full charge of mace. If I could get an additional parry off, I would be able to get a sweet bundle of 2 swings for the price of 1. Since once procced, I had to swing within the next couple of seconds, if not I would lose the additional swing. But with how fast he moved or how aggressive he got, it was easy to miss that window, and I missed out on a lot of potential big damage. On this 3rd phase, it was important too to destroy the iron Japanese dildos and blood gang, since they were my means to health and armor if I got low. But with the willpower driven by the goal of getting squeezed by mommy Thera's thighs, I penetrated Azrak and brought him back to natty status just like the rest of us and saved Thera. Unfortunately though, this game needed to end in hell, so the tournament continues actually for one more attack. Doomguy and Thera gather their forces, and for some reason, even though clearly we have plenty of soldiers, we go in with some named characters and the scientists? The guys with no armor, but it's whatever dog, because this fisting crusade was righteous enough to be its own armor. All these Giga Chads brought was a little bit of faith and a whole lot of lube. So into hell we dive to punish, quote unquote, punish the guilty. We fight through hell again, and nothing new happens here. It's just the ultimate culmination of everything that Doom the Dark Ages has already thrown at us, and so a plentiful amount of resets were had here and there. But nevertheless, we melee those demonic cheeks and we push forward. The arena before the final boss definitely put some hairs on my chest and testicles, especially the 2 demon bosses back to back. But after a gorgeous victory, we board Azrak's ship via cutscene and enter the final boss room to finally finish this sodomy sesh once and for all. The boss fight now was against a natty Azrak and the Witch, a real duo Ornstein and Smo situation, or for any younger viewers, a real foreskin twins from Elden Ring type beat 6-7. The strategy here was very similar to the previous fight with Azrak, as we have to try and optimize our melee charges with a second swing post counter. However, the wrinkle now was that the Witch was doing one of 2 things: shooting at us with her bitch made orbs, or being a mega bitch and shielding Azrak mid dread mace swing, which really felt like a kick in the balls every time the hit would connect, but 0 damage was delivered. Whenever one would be shielded, the other would become the priority. However, it was still important to stay near Azrak so we could bait out those parryable melee attacks in order to fill our melee meter a little faster. Some rinsing and repeating with the occasional reset, we were able to remove the Witch from this battle, leaving only Azrak to be our bitch. And wouldn't you know it, I almost had him first try in the 1v1, but I choked at the end because I suck at this game and I had to fight him again. Weirdly enough though, every reset after the first one, the health and armor pickup stopped spawning, ultimately making the fight harder, but by this point, it didn't matter. Peak gamer gunk had filled every neuron in my body, and I was going to beat this horny... I was going to beat this horned pasty fuck cuck, even if it was the last thing I did. On the final attempt, I nearly had perfected him, until the very end where I messed up once again and lost the avatar state. But I had just enough juice to give one final bitch slap to Azrak with my best friend, the Dread Mace, and finally end this run. And there you have it, folks. Can you beat Doom the Dark Ages with no guns on Nightmare difficulty and the smallest parry window? Well, no, if you include the non-optional moments, but if you don't count those moments where the game literally forces you in order to proceed, then yes you can. And I just want to say a big thank you to Senza for very clearly inspiring this run and video style. I could never do it as good as you, but I did this as a homage to your channel because honestly, those challenge runs seem really fun. Thank you to everyone else for making it this far into the video, and please drop a sub and a like to the channel. I have a huge goal of 500 subs. Gotta start somewhere, right? So if you like this challenge, let me know if you have any ideas of more potential challenge runs, or if you will attempt this run yourself and found ways to bypass what I considered non-optional gun moments. This genuinely was a blast. Despite the pain, I will always carry this dub in my gamer portfolio. Until the next time, remember to call your mom and ask her to see how she's doing today, and take care.